Hello everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. Today's video is going to be an easy starter cut crease that anyone can do. So I'm starting off on freshly washed skin, as well as followed up by a moisturizer. You want that to dry down before applying your e.l.f. primer or any primer of your choosing. So what I'm doing here is I'm just dabbing this in. You don't need a lot. What primer is going to do is help your makeup to stick better, and that's what you want. You want your foundation to last all day. So that's what a primer is going to do. I noticed some flyaways, and I just wanted to kind of get my edges together. So I'm taking a toothbrush, of course not the one that I use daily. This one is specifically for my hair. So I'm going in with a Kohler eyeliner pencil just to kind of give me some brow. This particular brow, I shaved it a little bit too straight. That happens sometimes. And so I'm just trying to get that into a feasible shape. Same thing for the other side. You want your brows to look cohesive, you know. A good rule of thumb is they should look like sisters, not twins. So I'm taking this 13 shade concealer by Juvia's Place, and I'm gonna shape my brows with this Morphe brush M166. So just taking that up under the brow, I'm going to lightly line at first just to kind of trace what I'm doing so that I'm not going in too strong. So you'll see me talking in this video and singing, so. I speak out loud a lot just to kind of get my thoughts together. So same thing with the other side. We're going to gently line the brow. Apply your concealer. Now this might look like a lot if you are a beginner, but just know that it's going to be blended out. So it's not going to appear too heavy. And I'm going to take that all over my lid, because on my lid, that's obviously where I'm going to apply the shadow. So I want the eyeshadow to stick properly on my lid. So I'm going to take my I hate that word, damp. Take my damp Real Techniques makeup sponge and dab, dab, dab. You want it to be flat. You don't want any creasing when you apply your concealer, just so that the shades go on easier. Now this is a palette by Juvia's Place. I'm gonna link it down below. Taking my Real Techniques fluffy brush and just applying that light brown shade on my lid. So I'm using this color as a transition shade. The brown just looks so close to my skin. So adding that on, fluffing that out nicely, and preparing for my next shade. So this is a smaller fluffy brush by Real Techniques, and I'm going in with this e.l.f. palette. I think it's called Truffle. So I'm going to link all the products below so that you can get a good idea of what I used for this look. But this brown is one of my favorite shades. Very close to, it just looks good on my skin complexion. So I'm going to take that in my crease and just kind of blend it back and forth just until I feel that I've blended well enough. It's just something that you know in your heart. You just gotta blend it good. So taking that and making sure that the outer portion of my eye is gonna pop. So I'm taking it from the edge all the way to the corner. Same thing with the other side, just like a math equation. What you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So I am going to blend that out. So once both of those sides look even, we're going to progress to the next shade. So I'm taking some concealer here, and here's the cut crease part, but the thing I want you to know is that it's not super cut. This is just like a blended out cut, if that makes sense. So I took that first portion and placed it in the very middle of my eye, just so that I can get a good idea. I want it to be round, like in the middle. So this is a brush by Morphe as well. It's a concealer brush. And what I'm doing is I'm gently patting and trying to get the color flat, and the concealer rather flat for the next shade that's going to come. And the reason why I'm placing this concealer on top like that is so that, again, the color can stick. This next shade is so very, it seems a little thin, like it's, you know, you need a lot of it to do what it's supposed to do. So I took this flat Real Techniques brush and I'm just patting that light shade on top. And everything doesn't have to be perfect, you know. When you do your makeup, you want to shoot for, well, I'm not going to say you want to shoot for. What I shoot for is decent and, you know, well done. I don't shoot for perfection. This is something that I really love to do. I'm a makeup enthusiast more than a professional. So I'm just adding that on. And as you can see, there's like this gradient going on. Like it's light, extremely light at the bottom. And then as you go up further, it's fading. The lighter shade is fading into the brown shade. So doing the same thing to the other side, adding that concealer in the very center of my eye first. And then I'm patting it down with that M166 flat brush. Then I went with my round concealer brush to pat it and make sure it's really blended. So I took a little bit more brown eyeshadow and put it on the edges. Patting that light color in with the light shade. Patting the light color in with the flat Real Techniques brush. And touching up the brown. Alrighty, so this is the Kampala foundation from Juvia's Place. And I'm going to take my Stay All Day setting spray by e.l.f. And I'm just going to spray that on my Real Techniques sponge so that when I'm patting out my foundation, that setting spray is adhering to the foundation so it won't move as much throughout the day. So I'm adding my foundation onto different portions of my face. And I'm just going to begin to pat that in. I love this sponge because, I mean, it's just so easy. It's just so easy to use. Sometimes I'll use a brush, but when I really want to do things a little bit quicker, I'll just take my Real Technique sponge and pat it right in. So much quicker. Nothing against makeup brushes, please. I just love this sponge because it's easier. Sometimes when you're doing your makeup, you may not even like your eye makeup at first. Sometimes when I do my makeup, I don't like my eye makeup at first, and then after I put my foundation on, it just starts to make sense. I have sat down and have done my eyes and applied the foundation and did not like my eye makeup still. And I would just, at that point, you just wipe it off and start over. So I'm taking my e.l.f. eyeliner and I'm sweating looking at this because my hand is not as steady as it used to be. So I'm trying to get my wings right. I love a winged liner. I'm literally sweating looking at this. All right, so you just want to try to make it as cohesive as possible. Adding that on, trying not to blink. And good for me because sometimes I do blink while I'm putting on my eyeliner. All right, steady does it. So I'm going to take a little bit of concealer on my Morphe brush just to clean up that outer side of my eye. So sometimes when your hand is not so steady, of course, things happen. So makeup is art. So when you make mistakes, you can easily make adjustments. So the key is not to get frustrated, but just to figure out how can I make this better or how can I fix this? So I'm going to take my eyeliner again and try to make it look a little bit pointier. So getting better takes time. You just have to remain consistent and do your best, So I'm taking my mascara and I'm gonna be using my natural lashes today. I'm gonna fluff them up. So now we're starting the concealer and contouring. So I use this teeny weeny brush by Morphe to apply my concealer down my nose because my nose is a little bit on the flatter side, which is fine. So I don't want to apply too much of anything, so I like to do, look at me singing. I like to do a little bit at a time. I really like this process because I feel like it looks tribal. but you can apply your concealer however you wish. Some people use the long lines and others use dots and stripes and things of that nature. So I took some time to put a little bit of lotion on because my hands were dry. I wash my hands a lot. So I want y'all to know that my hands are now moisturized. So I'm going to take my Real Technique sponge and begin to blend the concealer out so there's no fine lines. I like a bright under eye, but I think that because the eyeshadow that I used was so bright, I didn't want to do too much this time with the powder under my eyes. So I'm gently blending my nose and my forehead. And these are the areas that the light hits. So we kind of want to accentuate that so that my face has some depth and definition. And so I'm blending that out very gently. And I'm actually going to apply a little bit more because it's not bright enough for me. But again, I didn't want to do too much and be too bright looking. So gently blend it out. When in doubt, blend it out. We don't want any harsh lines because that's where things start to look a little bit weird. I think Chris Brown was on in the background. Anybody who knows me knows I love Chris Brown. So I'm taking my Laura Mercier powder, and I really like this powder. It's very lightweight, and so I'm also going to be using the finishing powder. I know I showed that I used Airspun here, but I did not use Airspun. I just used the Laura Mercier setting powder. I love it. I don't ever get any flashback in my pictures when I use Laura Mercier, and the setting powder is just so finely milled that it goes on seamlessly. So what I like to do sometimes is take that powder and kind of smooth it on the back of my hand first so that there's no splotchy, blotchy areas. I feel like it just looks so smooth already. I forgot for a second I was in front of the camera. So I had to move it over to the side, my little mirror. All right, and going down the nose with the powder, just a little, nothing crazy. And dab, dab, dab. So next I'm going to contour my face, and I'm going to use this little teeny weeny brush, the same one I've used to apply my concealer. I'm going to wipe it off and apply this darker contour shade out of this e.l.f. palette. I love this cream contour because it's so easy to blend, and honestly, it's great in the summertime. It makes my skin, like, I look very glowy with it. I can't wait for the summertime so I can do a video on how glowy I look. So I'm taking that from the corner of my eyebrow and down, and this is going to accentuate my nose So as you can see, this color is not very dark for my complexion. And that's just what I love about it. It was a perfect color. And so I'm going to take my Real Technique sponge and dab that on the side so that the lines are not harsh. There's such a difference already. I'm telling you, I really love this eye look. It's so easy. 3 shades. Really, it's 2 shades. Technically, because you don't see the brown that I used initially, but. So, what I like to do with this fluffy brush is I'm going to take a little bit of the finishing powder. Just a little bit, because with this one, a little bit goes a long way. And so I'm going to apply that all over, but that's after. So I have this contour brush, and I'm going to begin to contour my cheekbones. So I kind of like suck my face in and just kind of apply that all over the edges of my forehead, down my cheekbones. I see there's such a difference already in the definition in my face. Sometimes when I'm feeling froggy, I'll add a little to my jawline, just so that my bone structure is accentuated properly. So I'm blending this out with my Real Techniques sponge, and I can honestly see the difference already in how the center of my face pops. That's another thing. You have to learn your face shape when you're doing your makeup, because that plays a role in the finished product. You know, obviously everyone's face is different, but you have to do what works for your face shape. So again, I'm going in with my finishing powder in the shade Chocolate, and I'm going to tap that just a little bit because, again, a little goes a long way. Now, what this is good for is setting your makeup, but sometimes when I have a powder that is just way too bright, sometimes I have bought powder that's too bright, and, you know, let's be honest, I didn't feel like taking it back, you know, so I would just kind of fix it and tone it down with this finishing powder. So I'm going to go in with this blush palette by e.l.f. Listen, as you can see, I love e.l.f. and Juvia's Place. So I don't like to apply too much blush. But I will add some this time. Look, boom. Look how much that pops out. I see it already. And just a little bit. I don't like too much blush because you can easily cross over into just too pigmented. Once you get too pigmented, it's really hard to kind of tone it down. So it's better to build. So that blush adds back in a little bit of color into your face. And so moving on to my lip pencil, and this is the one I use for my brows, but I love a brown. I love the brown shades. So I have two-toned lips, and it's kind of difficult sometimes to get a good lipstick that works for me. Sometimes I have to use concealer and cover my lips first, just to kind of let the shade come through. But I'm going to use a matte lipstick today, so that will be pigmented enough to cover my two-toned lips. Not that I want to cover them because I don't like them. I just want the makeup, you know, the lipstick to show its true color. And it's a little bit difficult when you have one lip that's brown and one lip that is pink. So the lipstick that I used is called, the brand is Believe Beauty, and the shade is Honey Blush. Using my Stay All Day setting spray. I like to use quite a bit because I want my makeup to stay in place. Not me using a mirror as a fan. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed the video, please like, share, subscribe, comment below. Let me know if you tried this look. And yeah, I just want to hear your feedback. So thank you so much once again. And amen. Have a blessed day.